we are the Women's Climate Congress. And so I just want to now bring us a little bit, because I've heard you speak, Mary, about how women embody the law of obligation. And and also you've spoken a lot about, I've heard you speaking about collaborative governance. I just would like maybe you to speak a little bit about that, addressing our desire as women to be a vehicle for the change that
definitely, yes. Yes. First of all, I'd like to, Michelle, you know the email I sent you about that article about women being a key part of the economy, any new economy?
Yeah, that was by Jane Gleason White, a fantastic writer and thinker.
Yes. Yeah. Would Janet, would you know that? You know of that? Or that article? I was just thinking if we could.
Yes, I did see
send it out. Send it out to everybody to distribute it, because I thought it was very, very good. I thought that's quite right. Everything she was saying about women should play the key role in, and it fits in with this other old idea of that governance itself, the Aboriginal idea of governance itself should be gendered. Actually, that men and women should run countries. You know, basically. I mean, there already is one, isn't it? Finland? Isn't it Finland or Iceland? I forget now. One where a whole lot of women run the country.
Finland has a coalition of women.
I thought, oh, what a great start, you know. but yes, so it should be a balanced. So the 4 key attributes of relationalism are balance, autonomy, and women are definitely autonomous beings. They're not handmaidens, you know. And the third one is place with a capital P. Place, unlike there's an old saying from an old French philosopher, Descartes, I think, therefore I am. The Aboriginal version of that is I am located, therefore I am. So place tells you what meaning is and so on. And the other one is ethics. Now there's no actual word for ethics in the Aboriginal language. From what I know, from what I understand, there probably is, but there'd be hundreds of different languages, of course, you know, and different words. The general all-purpose word seems to be law, L-A-W, and this is what L-A-W stroke L-O-R-E. So I'm always trying to make things sort of simpler to understand, I suppose. And to me, L-O-R-E, which is a whole lot of older people talk about stories, they're very important. And to me, they're the stories of the L-A-W. Do you know what I mean? So they go together, both sides of the same coin, you know, that sort of thing. But also it's a much broader, deeper thing than Western coercive or punitive law ideas of control, human control, you know, and that's it. So it tells you meaning. So those 4 attributes: ethics, balance, autonomy, and place. So and the balance is balance in all things. Now that means in society, men's law, women's law, men's spirituality, even men's business, women's business, so on and so on. So don't think it's like either or, but they have to sit together. They're together. They're apart, but they're together and in balance. You know, one doesn't stand over the other at all. No, it can't. It doesn't work like that. You know, they're responsible for different things and so on. So in modern terms, it'd be the idea of the new economy, because you have to start from what I've just read. Actually, probably everybody has the output. What do you call it? The outcome of the IPCC. The big report. Yeah, they're saying that things, you know, it's all warning, but they don't talk too much. I don't know, because I haven't read this huge report of what to do now. You know, apart from all the warnings, how are you going to start doing things again? So this is the best time, I think, to start doing things. And don't theorize about it, about feminism and stuff. I'm not I don't mean to sound critical of feminism. I'm not. I'm just saying don't waste time theorising about things. Just do it. Just do it in all the committees and boards, and there are probably thousands, tens of thousands of them across the country. They should bring in, have a true, authentic meritocracy by having sets of boards and committees and so on, half men and half women, but men and women in balance. Doesn't matter if it's, don't make it exactly ideologically equal, you know, that's it's something forceful about that which doesn't go down too well, but have it balanced, and because that is the kind of system that Aboriginal people have. Older people in this new governance idea, they're all older people across cultures, across time. They're useful. They're not more than just useful. They are the value, great deep value of them is to have them there because they tell everybody what things might mean. What are the important things in life? You have to have people like that in committees, on forums, and so on and so on. Don't just think of older people as like old pensioners and ready for the knacker's yard or something like that. They're not. They know. So have them in important decision-making things like that. And both men and women, see? That's always both men and women.
Perhaps I can just insert a little bit of a sort of and for us folks in Western cultures, particularly those from the British line. We do have to continue challenging the patriarchy because, you know, what Mary's talking about is spot on. We have to have, you know, equality and gender balance. And what we have in the Australian system is a rising gender balance. But let's face it, in 1788, the legal system that came over with the boats was built on patriarchy. And I'm not saying that as a, you know, standing on a soapbox yelling at people feminist. The reality was the legal system that developed, particularly after the Norman invasion in Britain, you know, for the first millennium, literally only allowed men to inherit land. The first one would get the land, and they almost couldn't get rid of it. They had to do something with it. And it wasn't even until, you know, the early 1900s in different parts around the world in Australia that women got the vote. Prior to that, we were unable to own property. We would property ourselves to other white men. I mean, the whole system is really questionable. And again, it's really important for people as we search for solutions and a different future. Try to understand your history. Try to understand why things are the way they are. We do live in a patriarchal system because it's been grown out of the roots of a system that legally said women were the property of men. Women couldn't own stuff as were property. You know, like,
yes.
I'm working on trying to map out my own history of the legal system and why these ideas came. And I've started to pinpoint on when the foundations of the patriarchy were born in the British system. So, so we have a lot of work to do. And I think the role of groups like the Women's Climate Congress is to probably raise the voices of all of us awesome chicks and our
absolutely
and to try to rebalance our society. Our society is you know, we're not talking about women taking over, although I think myself, but it is about rebalancing. Not
talking in revolutionary terms, because as everybody knows about revolutions, they just replace the same thing. You know what I mean? That they've just overthrown. So I like the term of Anne Paulina, of a solution, not a revolution, a solution, you know, of that. Yes, and as long as you have that law of obligation embodied in it, do you know what I mean? It's there forever. Then, you know, it's something. But this is the thing I reckon a Women's Congress could work on, is increasing the capacity for self-correction. When I say self-correction, I'm not talking about this personal self. I mean, if you want to look at it like that, that's all right. But self-correction meaning basically a whole society or a culture doing a U-turn, basically, almost like doing, and it can be done. Just have to look at the brilliant Chinese. They've done that, you know. So it's not beyond any human group. Any human group can do that, you know. But it takes a real determination to do that, and have ready arguments. you know what I mean, against the naysayers, male, and probably could be some females too. Some women mightn't like this idea at all, of women being co-leaders, you know, you know.
I think in so many ways women have been conned, in a sense, to be fitting into the systems that are already there and thinking that was the way to equity, you know, like if only we could get an equal number of women within these current systems.
Bugger that.
It's like add women and stir. I heard this expression the other day, and that would somehow make things right. But actually we've got to start speaking out more about, no, it isn't just add women and stir into the current system. We actually need to change the culture.